look at people like Robin Williams and like a lot of people that suffer from mental health and suffer from depression and suffer from these things, and it's like, you know, they might walk the walk and talk the talk, and to everybody else in the outside world, they seem happy-go-lucky, but there's a lot of demons that are going through their head. I mean, all of us on this podcast have dealt with it. I'm not saying you, Matthew, but I mean myself.
No, I have.
All do.
Hey, or maybe you have. I mean,
I am his demon. Just kidding.
But, you know, like, that goes back to me asking about, you know, growing up in this business. I mean, did you ever, you know, kind of stray off the path a bit, or did you, or were you always on the straight and narrow, or, you know, I mean, did you ever kind of?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I did stray off the path for sure. But it was strange for me because I was such in a bubble. You know that bubble that you probably hit once you guys started to get that kind of like notoriety, where, you know, you're just all of a sudden you can only be around a few people, and then if you go outside, you go to the market, you go anywhere, it's a disaster.
Yeah.
So I grew up in that bubble from the time I was about 5 years old. I was totally in that. So I didn't know. I went all the way till 20 years old without experiencing anything. I didn't drink. I didn't smoke. I didn't try anything.
Can I ask
and
you
then
a question? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, finish your thought.
I went, and then I booked a movie out of the country, and I tried everything for the first time, just all in about 3 months.
1 week.
It's like 40 hours, let's go!
Exactly. You know, I had a huge freak out about it. I'll never forget. I thought, you know, I was gonna, you know, die, or I was gonna, you know, I don't know. I called my mom crying, the whole thing, you know, after that whole experience.
What did you try exactly?
I mean, just the gamut.
What's that?
It's kind of like the EGOT of
I know what it is.
Yeah.
party world, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, a lot.
Okay.
More than I care to speak about.
Sure. Fine. I respect that.
Matthew, I've had front row seats to people that are in the business, right? I've always been behind the scenes, but I've had front row watching people sort of grow up in the business, right?
Yeah.
And what I ended up noticing was that at a time when people are supposed to be developing their self-esteem, you don't have to develop self-esteem, right? When everybody's like, here, is this the right, you know, here's your towel, here's everyone's catering to you, right?
Yeah.
At a time when everyone else is in school dealing with, you know, normal things, right?
Yeah.
And so, and then I see people, without naming names, that I would see them sort of get so much adulation, but then once the adulation wasn't happening at its peak, they were hit. Not everyone went into drugs and alcohol, but some people were dealing with depression, anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of stuff. Like, what levels were you dealing with? Because look, I could look at you, and obviously you didn't hit the same kind of rough patch AJ.
Yeah, you're definitely, I mean, look, we look significantly better than we did. I can tell you that. But there's some photos out there that are very less flattering than what you see right now. Like, imagine this face,
Of all of us.
but like 6 times bigger and like 9 chins of just
And then
bloated
AJ
from
was
too
like,
much
sure.
blow.
AJ was like
Sorry.
looking. I guess AJ, you were Googling me. You must have. And then you're like, he was like, your face was like a chipmunk. For me, it's not contemplating on if I love the show, do I come back? It's because of this. Like, it's because of my personality and like the fact that I can't. There's no such thing as the gray area for me in this. It's like, like I feel like, and I don't know if, I think I'm starting to see a pattern. Like, that's just like when I commit to something, whether it's like getting a mask business out there or whatever, it's like, I am never stopping until it happens. I get very,
I do understand
tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And I understand that part. Like, for me, artistically, like you're saying, for me, I can, if I'm in songwriting mode, that's all I think about.
Yeah.
That's how we are.
All I see, like, I'll see magazines, I'll hear people talking, everything's a lyric to me, and I get that part. the part that I think that I guess I'm asking you is, as a choreographer, you have to be you have to crack the whip, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's what it is. A great choreographer knows how to get the best out of her student.
Yeah.
Lack of a better term. But how do you not see Matthew as like someone that needs to get the whip cracked on? You know what I mean? Like, hey, what, like 5, 6, 7, 8, where's my milk?
Yeah, right. 5, 6, 7, 8. You left the car.
5, 6, 7, 8. Where's my berry smoothie?
Exactly. But
that's my nature, though, isn't it? I mean, we've talked about this in therapy. We talk about how, like, when I ask him to do something, like, obviously our timelines are different, right? So, like, I'm like, babe, can you get me? But then I want it now. And then, like, he's like, but then his version, it's like, maybe not right this second. Like, he's on his way. Like, it's just a different pace.
Yeah, totally.
But I'm very much like live show.
But this is good for me, though. And this is why something
good for me,
that would
too,
come
vice
off,
versa.
like you're saying, like the crack the whip thing. I kind of need that. I'm
there you go.
100% the opposite direction. I will
That's why we work.
take a week to, procrastinate, overthink things before I even take a little step. And that has been, not so great in my life. So
The yin and yang.
yes.
No, it really is.
So
But then we're
with
like,
Cheryl,
very much opposite.
it makes me at least get myself moving. Like at least I'm moving and I feel more productive and I like the feeling.
But then me, on the other hand, like, and why he's good for me is because it's like not everything has to be done right now.
It helps you
it's
slow
like,
down.
Right.
Yeah, he makes me breathe and just enjoy more of the moment. And I do have to say, in a good way, though, I'm not constantly like 10 minutes early anymore. Like I'm actually pretty much like always a few minutes late, but it's not in a bad thing. But it's okay. Like I'm not freaking out.
On every other situation, being late would be bad. In your case, she's never been late. So actually, this time,
though, it's been good.
she's like, "Oh my God, I'm running late." I'm like, "Wow, this is awesome."
Yeah.
Hey,
running late.
and I'm always on
running
time.
late without killing myself inside and saying that I'm like failing, right?
Right.
No, but it's interesting that you mentioned like what you said prior to this about that whole kind of decompression mode. Like Cheryl told me a few weeks ago and then brought it back up to me again, I think last week, just in like conversation, like when this is over for us, whenever that is, if it's the final or if we get bounced next week, whenever it is, don't be surprised if you go through this like
Come down.
basically like a detox, like you go through this come down. And I can't see it, but yet I talked to my bandmate who did the show 5 years ago, and he's like, "Oh my God, she's so spot on." He's like, "Dude, it took me weeks."
Because
He's like, I
depression.
couldn't figure out why I was so like I felt not motivated. Like,
Well,
what
you
am I
feel
supposed to
also
do with
like
my
what's
day?
your purpose in life? Because you have a schedule every single day,
Exactly.
7 days a week of you. So this is why I used to drink, you guys. So I'll never forget this. One week I was dancing with Chad. One season I danced with Chad Ojocinco, and there was something in my head, and I never experienced it before. I wasn't even I wasn't drunk, I wasn't hungover, but it was still when I was drinking. And I remember messing up on my own choreography, and it was like this crazy voice in my head saying, "Go the other way, go the other way." And I butchered my own routine when I'm supposed to be there for the celebrity. And ever since that traumatic time for me, I drank way more because I was just like, I was so scared of that voice. And I was like, what is going on? I'm like self-sabotaging. And then like, from then on, I just felt like my career plummeted down. Like it just wasn't as good because my mental state wasn't as good. And just like hearing you go through this in a way, in a certain, not like in everyday life, but just like, the show can psych you out, man. And I was telling Justina about it tonight when she goes, "Cheryl, what do you do when you think you're going to forget a step?" And I said, you got to stop that voice in your head because that's the voice that you're believing, and you got to just nurture it and love it. But then your steps. So come on, how many times have you done it? Right. So this is what I mean by just like a mirror, like reflection, because it's like, this is not, I totally have compassion for what, you guys go through.
No, absolutely. And like I told Rene, and we've had this conversation, it's like, for me, this is the longest I've been sober and doing it
the
right way and actually wanting to be sober. So I don't have the luxury of going out right now and getting loaded because I'm stressed out about this dance routine. That's off the table now. That's not an option anymore.
I mean, 10 years ago we would have, but yeah.
Oh, of
Not
course.
a viable
But,
option.
Yeah, it's not a viable option. So now that my feelings are kind of coming up and they're on my sleeve, it's like, okay, instead of running away from it, I gotta lean into it. And I'm learning more and more every week from our relationship. I'm able to apply it in my everyday relationship. Just the way that I talk to Rene every day, even he's like, who the hell are you? Like, what are you doing? What is going on? And it's just amazing to me how all of these things kind of work in the same synergy, which is just
Totally.
great.
I've always loved the sort of mentorship story, right? I love the old French lady ballerina, 70 years old, prima ballerina, kind of being extra tough on the girl that she sees has the potential. I've always loved that story, right? So watching you guys go through this, because I feel like I'm living vicariously because he calls me when there's been, some conflict resolution, let's say, right? And we grow through, that's when we grow. There's an old saying in the circles again that we run in that says alcoholics have the longest childhoods because we refuse to grow up. So
true.
Right? Yeah. Because we would end up diving into the bottle instead of growing.
Right. And so we're still I'm still 12 years old technically.
Oh, I'm never growing up. I'm a freaking straight up Toys R Us kid.
Yeah, but
it's a different thing that you say.
I know.
Let's not confuse
yes.
childish or childlike.
Yes, right. I will be childlike for the rest of